Marjorie Rieu built an empire from behind the scenes. For nearly 50 years, she was the unseen force driving Andre Rieu's rise to fame. She was his wife, his writer, his manager, and his fiercest defender. Together they dominated the world of classical music. Now, she is quietly leaving. A tragic turn in Andre's health changed everything. Behind the bright lights, something in her pressure broke. As Andre celebrates his 75th birthday, Marjorie is quietly stepping away. What happened to the woman who kept everything going? It all began to fall apart in 2012. At the height of his fame, Andre Rieu, once called the king of the waltz, had no plans to slow down. He filled stadiums with his Jan Strauss orchestra, flew across the globe, and juggled concerts, TV shows, and media appearances without missing a beat. For years he seemed invincible. No sick days, no delays, not even jet lag could slow him down. But in July 2010, that changed. While on vacation in Belgium with Marjorie, Andre woke up at 3 in the morning. The room spun around him, not just a little dizziness, but real spinning. The ceiling twisted, and the walls tilted. It felt like the floor was gone. Sweat poured down him, and nausea overwhelmed him. He couldn't stand up. At first, he thought it was just exhaustion. He had been pushing himself hard. Studio recordings, Spanish lessons, last-minute tour plans. He kept busy every single day. He believed staying happy and busy could keep illness away. But this wasn't something he could ignore. By morning, the dizziness was worse. The spinning didn't stop. He was losing his balance. The doctors told him he had vestibular neuritis, a viral infection that affects the inner ear. It disrupts the nerve responsible for balance. When inflamed, the nerve sends confusing signals. This causes severe vertigo, disorientation, and nausea. For Andre, it was a disaster. He wasn't just dizzy. He couldn't walk in a straight line. He couldn't rehearse. Even holding his violin made him feel like the room was tilting. The problem got serious when he realized he had a concert scheduled in Amsterdam the next week. It was a big show, with 60,000 fans ready to see him perform. This time, there was no miracle recovery. His doctor told him rest was the only cure. That's when everything started to fall apart. Not just for Andre, but for Marjorie too. She isn't just his wife. She's the steady force behind everything he does. A language teacher and a trained composer in her own right. They've been married since 1975, over 40 years of partnership. Their bond isn't just romantic, it's creative, practical, and emotional. While Andre tours the globe, Marjorie manages the business side of their life. She writes, keeps things running smoothly, and shields his time and energy. But in 2010, they didn't have a plan for this. Andre had to cancel his Australian tour. Then he called off his UK shows. These weren't small gigs. They were big stadium events with hundreds of jobs on the line. Lighting crews, orchestra players, stage managers, transport teams. 120 people depended on him for their paychecks. His monthly costs topped £825,000 even before his personal earnings. When he fell ill, it wasn't only a problem for him. It turned into a full economic storm. Marjorie found herself at the center of it all. From their 15th century castle in Marie, a place Andre dreamed of owning since he was a kid, she kept things together. She kept the business afloat, handled communications, and pushed Andre to focus on getting better. Even when he wanted to push through his sickness, he tried. He asked for medicine, tried to walk, practiced singing. Nothing worked. His body said no. It was Marjorie who reminded him. This wasn't about strength. It was about survival. The irony? This came after Andre believed he was immune to burnout. He thought his mind could control his body. That being positive would keep him safe. But everyone, even a singer at his peak, has limits, and he reached his. For 3 months he couldn't tour. He could barely get out of bed. He felt ashamed, like he was letting everyone down. He had no energy left for his grandchildren. At one point, he joked about sweating like he was going through menopause. But the truth was clear. This wasn't just an ear virus. It was a wake-up call. Doctors ran tests and gave him a brain scan to check for tumors. The results came back normal, but the recovery was still harsh. There were no magic pills or quick fixes, only focused retraining, physiotherapy, and a long list of slow, boring exercises. He balanced on one leg, traced figure eights with his feet, moved his eyes side to side, then up and down. He did this 3 times a day for 30 minutes. Step by step, it started to work, but the emotional weight didn't disappear. The fear of another attack lingered. Vestibular neuritis stalls with about a 5% chance of coming back, and stress can trigger that relapse. Andre had to rethink everything. His schedule, his life. That's when Marjorie returned to help. She drew 2 lists, one of everything he loved about music, performing concerts, recording albums. The other contained all the things that drained him: meetings, negotiations, speaking gigs, press events, running the business. His second list was much longer. Together, they shortened it. They cleared his calendar and changed his priorities. He would focus only on music, and Marjorie would handle the rest. This choice wasn't just about workload, it was about survival. On stage, Andre looked unstoppable, but Marjorie knew better. She saw him at his lowest, fevered and sweaty, losing his balance, too embarrassed even to walk to the bathroom. She stayed by his side to keep the world from seeing how fragile he was. Their relationship was never about showing off. Marjorie seldom joins him at concerts or events. She said she didn't want to be defined only as Marjorie Rieu's wife. She had her own identity, her own work, her own mind. Still, in moments like these, her strength shows behind the scenes. Together, they raised 2 sons. Now, they have 5 grandchildren. They live in the same castle where Andre once learned piano as a kid. Amidst fame, chaos, music, and spots of the spotlight, Marjorie kept her feet on the ground, even when everything spun out of control. By 2013, Andre was back on stage. He recovered quicker than doctors thought. The exercises, therapy, and lifestyle changes helped him recover faster. Still, the fear stayed. Marjorie's role shifted. She no longer just supported a traveling musician. She watched him face limits and did everything she could to keep him from breaking again. Today, when fans see Andre smiling and leading a big orchestra, they don't see what it took to stay there. They don't see the woman who kept everything together when it was falling apart. But Marjorie knows because that was just the start. Then, in 2017, Andre faced a new wake-up call. He had to look even deeper at his health and choices. This time, the stress didn't come from illness or canceled shows. It all came from inside. After suffering 2 serious health scares in just a few years, Andre knew things had to change permanently. He was always on the move, touring constantly, managing a 60-piece orchestra, handling production details, and pleasing fans worldwide. It all caught up quickly. His body started to break down. This time, he listened. He brought in help, a personal trainer, a new diet, and a fresh routine focused on building strength, stamina, and getting enough rest. This wasn't about looks. It was about staying alive. Andre began exercising regularly, not just to keep up with the demanding schedule, but to stay on stage. His trainer adjusted his meals, watched his movements, and helped him rebuild from the inside out. The changes were clear. He felt more energized, slept better, and moved more easily. The family band soon noticed too. Inspired by Andre's change, they jumped in. The entire Johann Strauss Orchestra started to follow suit. Musicians booked gym time, took Zumba classes, and signed up for marathons while on tour. The backstage atmosphere shifted. Health was now part of their routine, not something ignored. How does a man in his 70s keep up with shows that last until midnight across many time zones, doing 5 or 6 nights in a row? It's simple: rest, discipline, and a good team that supports him. Andre keeps his circle small. He keeps family photos in his violin case. His sons send him pictures of the grandkids before each show. He wears his wedding ring on a chain, not his finger, to avoid accidents. These small routines act as anchors. Flying between cities and performing under bright lights, little reminders of home keep him grounded. That castle in Maastricht isn't just a trophy. It's more than a sign of success. Marjorie waits off stage, quietly watching every show. She stays out of the camera's view. She does not need to be in the spotlight to make a difference. For over 4 decades, she has played a key role behind the scenes. She wrote his biography, helped plan concerts, handled logistics, and kept him focused on the most important things. Their bond still runs on the same energy that brought them together back in the 70s. She was a language teacher in Nijmegen, and he was the boy she met at his sister's party. When they reconnected years later, they didn't hesitate. They fell in love quickly. Not everyone approved, though. Andre's parents weren't sure about Marjorie. Her free-spirited nature clashed with their strict rules. Still, they pushed forward. Both grew up in disciplined homes and learned to work hard. That drive became the base of everything they built. By 1978, Andre was in the Lindbergh Symphony Orchestra and performing in Gemma Serpent's group. Around that same time, Marjorie found out she was pregnant. They juggled family life, teaching, music, and gigging in retirement homes. Things were chaotic, but they didn't stop. Marjorie helped draft speeches between songs. She managed brochures and worked booths to book gigs. At one point, they played free concerts for small crowds while dreaming of theaters and tours. Their big break came with the 1994 album Strauss and Company and the hit song The Second Waltz. It wasn't luck. It was years of building step by step. Still, not everything went smoothly. In 2008, a replica of Schönbrunn Palace almost drained their finances. Marjorie stayed up nights, worried about the money draining out. She kept her cool and stayed careful. Their son Pierre later joined the team, bringing a fresh sense of business to balance Andre's artistic side. Even today, she keeps her distance from fame. She has no new photos and does not give interviews unless it's necessary. She travels under her maiden name and avoids recognition. It's not shyness, but intention. While Andre gets more public with each tour, she pulls back to create space for both of them. At home, Andre's pace slows. He cooks simple, healthy dinners that he plans carefully. They often sit quietly in their favorite spot, the orangery. This indoor garden, crafted by Andre himself, is filled with exotic plants, vibrant butterflies, and koi fish gliding under murals inspired by Tuscany. It's his escape from the chaos of touring and the place where he finds peace before moving on to the next adventure. But what fuels Andre's relentless passion? Who showed him how to risk everything for his dream, even when success seemed unlikely? The answer traces back to one man, his father-in-law, a Jewish man who shaped his mindset and perhaps holds the key to Andre Rieu's success. Edgar Coman was not a household name. He didn't perform on stage or conduct an orchestra, but his influence lived in every note Andre played. Edgar was a survivor of the Holocaust. His father fled Berlin in 1932, seeking safety in Maastricht. 2 years later, the rest of the family joined him. During the war, Edgar hid from the Nazis, protected by Nellie, a Dutch girl who later became his wife and Andre's mother-in-law. Nellie risked everything, joining the Dutch resistance and helping Jewish families survive. Years later, Andre received a letter from an Israeli family thanking Nellie for saving their grandmother's life. That moment stayed with him. It was not just a story from the past, it was a reminder of his marriage's legacy. Then came Edgar's record collection. When Andre married Marjorie in 1975, he gained more than a wife. He stepped into a whole new world of music. Edgar's most valued possession wasn't money or memorabilia. It was a collection of over 300 records. This collection opened Andre's ears to new sounds, new rhythms, and a different side of music. Before, Andre had grown up with classical giants like Bach, Beethoven, and Bruckner. But Edgar's records showed him operettas, melodies from the 1920s, and even the Beatles and Rolling Stones. For someone raised in a strict musical home, it was like seeing colors for the first time. Andre didn't just hear it, he soaked it in. That record collection became the base for the MRI Salon Orchestra's early shows. It influenced their songs, their vibe, and even their style. The fun, the nostalgia, the energy, all came from those records. His influence originated from Edgar's taste and Marjorie's early impact. Edgar wasn't known for technical skills, but for emotional depth. He helped Andre feel the heart behind the music. Even after many years, that influence remains clear. Almost every concert features Andre playing a version of Hava Nagila, a famous klezmer song. His 2010 performance of it is one of the most watched classical videos online, with over 14 million views on YouTube. This is no accident. It honors Edgar, respects history, and celebrates the strength of those who built something new after losing everything. Andre carries that message proudly. When he performs in Israel, the energy is intense. Flags wave, the crowd cheers, and he responds with local songs like Jerusalem of Gold. He weaves different cultures into his global tours. Since 2018, he has performed in Tel Aviv, and each show feels more like a family reunion than just a concert. Behind the scenes, Edgar's story still guides him. Andre understands his roots and knows how close it came to ending before it truly began. That is why he celebrates life through music. The message is simple: keep dancing, keep dreaming, and keep moving forward. During lockdown, when stages were empty and shows slowed down, Andre stayed busy. He baked cakes for neighbors. He made a virtual concert called Magical Mastery, using old footage from past shows. It streamed from December 19th through January 3rd, giving fans around the world a chance to feel the music and memories from home. He didn't stop. He pushed harder. By 2025, he plans to celebrate his 75th birthday with a worldwide cinema event called The Dream Continues. This show isn't just about his hits. It's a look at a life's work. From New York to Vienna, Bahrain to Sydney, Andre takes viewers on a tour of his favorite performances around the world. One moment features an expanded performance of the Music of the Night from Phantom of the Opera. Another captures an emotional duet with his brother Robert as they sing Pizou and reminisce about childhood in Maastricht. Between songs, Andre opens up, sharing stories, memories, and lessons from a life driven by passion and persistence. Then there's Emma, who since 2024 has been touring globally with Andre and the Johann Strauss Orchestra. She's visited Mexico, Chile, Bahrain, Colombia, and many more countries. Her stage presence signals something meaningful. Andre's story continues to grow, and he shows no signs of slowing down. Instead, he's inviting new voices and faces into his world, keeping the tradition alive through collaboration. When considering the scope of it all, the boy from MRI with a second-hand violin turning into one of the world's top classical artists, you see the bigger picture. A man raised in a strict tradition, a young couple performing at concerts and in retirement homes, a dream fueled by vinyl records and survival through war. His career spans continents, generations, and musical styles. It all stems from that quiet influence, someone who never sought the spotlight, but made sure it was shining on others. Edgar Cohen shaped the soul behind the music, and Marjorie kept it alive by carrying her father's legacy in everything she did: choices, arrangements, and tours. When she steps away today, saying farewell to the stage, the buses, and late nights behind the scenes, she isn't leaving because she's done. She's finishing her part. The world sees Andre, but she laid the foundation. She carried the dream when it was barely alive. Now, while Andre performs in Sydney, Vienna, and Tel Aviv to full crowds, Marjorie watches quietly, knowing every note echoes their story. From war-torn Berlin to packed stadiums across 5 continents, this journey didn't start with fame. It began with love, records, persistence, and support that never asked for recognition. So, what comes next for the music? That's the last question. With Andre turning 75, Emma climbing higher, and the orchestra still touring, the answer is clear. The waltz goes on.